What is going on? Welcome to another episode of the show. How you doing? You know, it's been a really, really intense last couple of weeks for me, and I thought let's bring in a special guest who can dissect and we can talk about what I've been going through and the healing I've been going through, because it'd be special. So, make some noise, everybody, in your virtual heads for the fantastic Jane Ellesmere. Come on over. Sit down, woman. Look, there she is. She's all classy.
Hello, everyone.
She's classy.
Am I?
Yeah, you're a little bit classy. Because other people, they're not classy, but you have the class, the grace. How you doing?
Yeah, really good. Really good. Busy.
Yeah, you are busy. You're running around all over the place. So you spoke at our event, the Infinite Man, and they loved you.
Did. Oh.
They loved you. Like, we weren't expecting it. Like, it was funny because, like, we didn't. Certain people have like an offer, like they're selling a retreat or whatever, some sort of product or a book or something, and we didn't, we didn't talk about it at all, so I didn't know she's doing anything. And at the end, she's like, yeah. So if you guys want to take my course, and then everybody runs to the back, and you sold more units, I think, than anyone did, and we were all like, oh wow, we didn't see that coming. So they really loved what you had to say, and it's so interesting because the guys are primarily there for guy stuff. They want to make more money, they want to get a girlfriend, they want to get more health, all this kind of stuff. And so even though I'm super into the spiritual dimension of things and finding your purpose and all this, that kind of element, probably your average guy is less sort of aware of that. And so and yet when you were up on that stage, they were like, fuck yeah! So they loved it. How was that experience for you?
Well, I think it was purely logical, because what I was talking about was something that everyone needs in their lives, especially if they want to be successful and have stunning girlfriends or have any kind of progress in life. Because I was talking about mind mastery. So for those of you who haven't been there, I can tell that I was talking about how to keep your mind independent from other people's thoughts. And we don't realize in our everyday life just how much our decisions, goals, dreams, visions, and everything that we think is ours and really deeply ingrained ours is not necessarily so. So I offered those guys an opportunity to learn to stand up for themselves, to be, warriors in spirit, so to speak. And I understand why they wanted it. I would want that myself if I didn't have it.
No, it was awesome. I was just blown away by the responsiveness, but it was good. But now that you mentioned it, I think people will be curious to know what the fuck are you talking about. Even though I didn't want to talk about that, but you might as well.
I'm talking about the mind. Have you lost yours?
No, I definitely have mine. But I mean, but I think the general concept is that people can actually influence you whether you're aware of it or not, and that we can protect ourselves from that. So
that's true. We can and we should. We definitely should. We should not be victims to other people's expectations and desires and plans for us. As someone said, if you don't build your own dream, someone will use you to build theirs. And you know what? Our life is limited here. So do you really want to spend it living other people's dreams?
F that shit, dog. No, but the thing is, like, because I've been talking about, the fact that ignore what society thinks, your parents think, all these people trying to make you do stuff, and everyone's a robot, and they just believe in authority. They believe what people tell them. They believe what the government tells them, what the media tells them. So they're slaves, essentially. They're not really, they're not really conscious in their choices. But you're talking about something a little bit more sinister and a little bit deeper, where literally people mind control, like literally mind controlling you. So can you tell us a little bit about that and how we can, what the threat is and how we can maybe defend against it a little bit?
Okay, well, it's quite a broad question you ask here, but to keep it short, basically, when you think about it, let's say it's spiritual, but the truth is, spiritual is the new educated. You are a spiritual being, whether you like it or not. I'm sorry, if you dislike it, it's still going to stay as it is. And our mind is an energy structure, essentially. So obviously we have the physical part of us, which is the brain. But apart from the brain, there must be something that makes our whole brain and the whole system work. And this is our mind. And actually some scientific discoveries recently have indicated that the mind, or what we perceive as the mind, is actually spread throughout our body. So it's not just in the brain. But so what happens is the mind is an energy structure. and there is no organ or one separate part of the body which we can call the mind. We have the brain, but it's not the mind. So with the mind, what happens is, as an energy structure, it's sensitive to other people's thoughts, because thoughts are energy as well. And again, if you like science, scientists have weighted thoughts, and they even found that those energy impulses have a tiny mass. So what happens is, mind being an energy structure sends and receives signals all the time, like a radio would. So if you're around people, which you are most of the time, unless you live on some manless island, but even though, you would still have some thoughts floating towards you. So what happens is, as you're surrounded with other people, and those other people have thoughts, different thoughts, you get naturally influenced by them. So for example, imagine yourself being in a really good mood, and then somehow you go to a place where everyone is really sad and grieving, maybe something horrible happened there, and what happens to your mood?
No, it goes to shit, of course.
Yeah, but the event has nothing to do with you, so why would you even care, right? And you would think, okay, well, that's empathy, I just feel for those people. But think about it this way. Imagine you are actually in not such a good mood. You are feeling down, and someone says, hey, Sasha, fancy going with me to a party? And you're like, nah, not tonight. I'm just not in the mood. And they're like, oh, come on, there will be fantastic people there. You are going to love it. So imagine that finally you would say, okay, fine, let's go. So they talked you into it. And yeah, in a really bad mood, so you don't really feel like enjoying it. But as you walk into the room, the vibe there, the people there are so fantastic that after like 5-10 minutes, you forget all about being tired or being in a bad mood, and you actually really, really enjoy it. So what happens there is the energy in that room, the energy of those people have actually changed the settings of your mind. So you thought it was peculiar to you that you were a completely separate being, having your own thoughts and your own mind, and yet you walk into a room and whatever is happening there influences you straight away. So I think most people as well will know pretty much straight away if you walk into a room where there was a huge argument and there is no one there. But as you walk into that room, you just feel that something is off, something is not right. So what happens is our mind picks up those signals all the time, and for as long as we're not aware of them, they can influence us and they can manipulate us on all sorts of different levels. So this is why it's so important to learn about the structure of your mind and about how and when you can be influenced, but also about how to protect yourself from it. Because if you cannot protect yourself, other people will keep influencing you all the time, and you basically effectively may end up living other people's dreams and desires, thinking that they're yours, but they're not. And this is why, actually, I will just quickly add it because it's quite important. Well, in my observation and experience, I think this is where the so-called midlife crisis comes from, because it comes when that person grows, well, mature enough to realize that what they've been doing with their lives so far has been under someone else's influence, maybe their parents, society, the prescribed goals, because we have all a prescribed set of goals that we should achieve to be successful and fulfilled. And at the age of, let's say, 30, 35, people are already mature enough to start thinking for themselves and start realizing that it somehow feels wrong. Now, imagine if you were immune to that mental influence. So you would not have fake goals in the first place. You wouldn't have a middle life crisis because it would just not ever appear. You would not have to question your life choices because you would make them consciously. And that power is just absolutely what every strong person, every person who wants to make a difference in this world absolutely needs. So yeah, this is what I do.
That's a pretty good summation there of why it's important. Holy shit. Yeah, I think it's something, when you're unconscious, you have absolutely no idea what's going on. Like, you don't. Life is just happening to you, and bad things happen. You're like, oh, why does this keep happening? Blah, blah, blah. You don't take responsibility. But when you realize, actually, you have full responsibility, and everything that's happening to you is because of you.
Yeah.
Not only on a human level, but on a higher level, because your higher self has actually planned out all of the problems you're going to have so that you can learn and grow. So that's the waking up process. It doesn't mean you have to become enlightened, but you just take responsibility for your life. and live it consciously and make choices for yourself. It's such a basic thing that most people aren't doing it.
Yeah, but
most people aren't doing it, and it's
our most basic right.
Yes, and it's so frustrating. And when I get all these guys messaging me on wherever, on Facebook and email and comments on YouTube, whatever, and they're still like, yeah, Sasha, I really want to do this, but my parents want me to do this. I don't know what to do. You know what to do. You know exactly what to do. You're just going to have to take control of your life from the hands of other people who are asserting control over your life. Stop it. How long are you going to let other people run your life for you? It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. But it's just so ingrained. And in some cultures, it's completely ingrained. Like in India, you just do what your parents want. That's it. You don't have a choice. They don't even pretend that you have a choice. You just do what your parents want you to do. People literally just take careers that their parents want them to have. I mean, that's what it is. I just met a guy on the meditation course a couple of days ago, which I'll be talking about soon. Indian guy, great guy, really beautiful soul. And his whole story is just like, yeah, I was a kid. I loved doing sports. I was so happy. And I really wanted to either become an athlete or do something with sports. And my father was like, no, that's no good. You're going to work in education. That's where the money is. So he went and started a whole career on something he had no interest in. And finally, he woke up just the last couple years ago and he got into self-development stuff. And now he's like, hey, you know what? I started doing sports again and I'm having a great time and I love it, even though I'm just doing it part-time. But I feel that joy again because I'm doing what I love. And ultimately, I know what's going to happen. He's going to quit his job and he's going to find some job, whether it's coach. Obviously, he's not going to, maybe he's too old to become a world athlete, but he could work with kids or become a coach with kids who play sport or something. He's going to find that joy somewhere because he's taking control of his life. And it's that simple. I had another guy, a huge fan of mine who might be working with me in my company. Really great guy, lives in Cuba, amazing guy, and he's in medical school. And if you're in Cuba, you get free university. So he's like on his second or third year of medical school, and you have to do 4 years. And he's like, I don't want to do another year plus of this. I don't want to be a doctor. I never want to be a doctor. And my parents and everyone around me is like, oh, but it's good if you're a doctor. It's going to help you in life, and you get
financially.
No, it won't, because you're not going to be a doctor. It's not going to help you in life. You're going to become something else. You're going to become a musician. He actually wants to become a musician. So you're going to become a guitar player, but you're going to have more opportunity because you have a piece of paper that says you're a doctor. No, you won't. You won't. It doesn't matter. So even when it's so fucked up. Even when your parents know you don't want to do what you're studying, they're still like, oh, it's still good to get the piece of paper. No, it's a piece of paper. It's a fucking piece of paper. It doesn't mean anything. The only thing that has meaning is taking the joy and doing what you love that gives you satisfaction to fulfill your soul's desires. That's the only thing that matters. And yet, nope, do what you're told.
Well, another thing about it is when you're doing something that you're not naturally disposed towards. So, in other words, you're doing something, you may be alright, you may be good, but your heart is not in it. It's worth to basically keeping in mind two things. You are never going to equal those who love it with their heart and soul. So you're never going to reach their level. And even if you do get closer, because let's say you work really hard, it's going to cost you so much pain that it's literally not worth it. So it's even the Knights Templar said all those centuries ago, the 13th century, and they said this: to be successful in this world, find out what it is that God wants you to do and go and do it.
Yep.
And they were at the time the most powerful and rich order of, pretty much all knightly orders of Europe. So they knew that little secret. I'm not saying that one should follow them, by the way, in all ways. They haven't necessarily done everything right, but that little nugget of wisdom is that you have to be aligned with your soul purpose. And this is why we have so many people being depressed, because basically, and they try to find the whole base for it. They try to explain it through some balance of chemicals and seasons and what's not. But the thing is, the ultimate truth, as far as I know, is you get depressed because deep inside, deep down, you know that you are not what you should be. And as soon as you get aligned with your mission, even if you go through hardships and horrible times and really tough times, you're actually happy. You are happy to go through those hardships. You feel inspired. You get up in the morning and you're like, bring it on. And it's a completely different state of mind. So when you're aligned with your purpose, you become alive. fully alive, and there is no even possibility of you getting depressed because you're just far too excited. It just doesn't happen. So this is why it's so important to keep your mind strong and clear and have this warrior attitude. And by warrior, I mean stand for yourself, stand for what you believe in. And loyalty and integrity are really, really important. So we think actually that integrity is some sort of an old-fashioned concept that nobody needs anymore, but we actually need it so much. Because if you are doing something, whether it's a job or a relationship or anything, any choice of your life, in your life that compromises your integrity, you are suffering inside. And if you look into yourself, you will notice that. And this is why people get depressed, and this is why people get actually even some physical ailments, because their body responds to all this pain they're carrying in their mind because they do something against themselves. They're basically selling
Well, even
themselves.
by not living your passion, you're saying you're living out of your integrity. Because if you were in your integrity, you'd be doing what you're here to do.
Yeah.
You see? So it doesn't mean you're going over like fucking people, hey, can I borrow $5 for a second? And I'll give it right back, and you run away. That's not it. It's
No.
something much deeper. Just by not being who you are, you're living out of integrity. That's
Yeah.
basically what you're saying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You need to follow your purpose. You need to follow your higher calling to be really strong and really successful. And as I said, even all the centuries ago, people had already understood that this is the way to go. You just need to stay attuned to yourself and to your purpose. And now, to do that, you need to have a strong mind that allows you to withstand other people's influence. Because you cannot, it's like, if you don't have the muscles to lift things, you're just not going to live them, so you have to work out. And it's the same with the mind. If you work out, you have this attitude of a warrior, and then you become stronger and stronger, so you can lift more and more, and you can stand for yourself more and more, and you can create more and more difference in this world. And this is what it's all about.
Hells yeah. You said it well there. That's good. That's good. I just wanted to give you a high five. That's fucking awesome. I think it's like we need to just get lots and lots of people to be hammering this message over and over again. Because I know some people get it, and some people just, they don't get it.
Just ask them to play this video and repeat.
Yeah. Just play it all over again. I mean, it's all there is, though. It's just like that. I mean, that's all there is. It's just like, do what you're here to do. That's it. And it's just a matter of fine-tuning that. I guess maybe people... it's one of those things that you really have to listen to yourself in order to get closer and closer to that what that is for you. And I think people are so disconnected from the self, they can't even listen.
Exactly.
They can't even listen.
There's too much noise from other people's thoughts.
Way too much noise from other people's thoughts, society, the news, your parents, everybody, everything. Everybody's trying to control you, so you can't even, you can't even listen to yourself. And this is why certain practices, yoga, meditation, even really good exercise, can actually put you in that zone where you're just, boom, you're just being. And in those moments, people have those moments of clarity, right? This is why inventors, suddenly they'll go off and they'll be fishing, you know what I mean? Or they'll be, they'll be doing some other thing, and then boom, they'll come up with a thing because suddenly they're just being them, and then they go, then they get it, right? But when you're sitting there with a pencil, I'm going to figure out my life's purpose. Fuck, I'm going to figure out this invention. I'm going to do it. No, because that's all the pressure on you. We have to be successful. I'm going to figure it out. But when you're actually just being, that's when it comes through. Relax. Yes, and it's like we can't relax.
Being yourself is effortless.
Yes, it should be, but it's fucking impossible in the system that we're in. It's just impossible. It's so hard to be you and just relax and be you.
You can learn. You can do workout for the mind, and you will get there.
So what would be if someone comes to you and they said, okay, what's the one practice or the one thing I can do to find what my purpose is? If they don't know, what's the one thing they can do to find it?
Meditate, and do it properly.
Okay. What's properly mean to you? There's so many different kinds.
There are different kinds, it's true. But what we have in our Western culture right now, we have many different, schools and ideas about meditation that don't necessarily work. And the reason why they don't work is because quite often those people who just mindlessly copied the ideas from the East have missed out a few important steps, and they don't necessarily teach you those steps at the courses. And this is why so many people get frustrated with meditation, and they try to do something and they're like, well, I tried to meditate, it doesn't work. Or even they say, well, I've been meditating for 5-10 years, and yet it has not created any major breakthrough or difference in their lives, which it to have done, obviously, under normal circumstances. So one of the most important self-checks, whether you're doing it right or not, is just check whether you feel different after the meditation. So let's say you're meditating for 10 minutes, 15 minutes. Is there a difference before and after? If there is no difference, it means that you need to fix something. If there is a difference, even a slight one, it's good. So first of all, do not try to sit down and get rid of thoughts. It's one of the most strenuous and, well, pretty much for the beginners, pointless and painful and dissatisfying practice, which actually puts many people off meditation, because sitting there with your mind completely quiet is like an advanced level of mind mastery. And imagine it's like kids coming on their first day to school and they don't know how to read and write, and you say, well, write this essay about the most famous work of Shakespeare. And they're like, but how about teaching us the alphabet first? Well, if they had any sense, they would say that. But what happens with with many meditation schools is that people go there being complete beginners, level 0, and they've been told, okay, well, just sit down for 20 minutes and keep your mind clear of thoughts. This is a mammoth task that most people just break under the weight of, and they just give up. Now, do not even get there before you develop enough strength to lift those heavy weights. So it's not going to happen, like in 90% at least of cases, it's not going to happen anytime soon. So do not get disappointed. Do not expect yourself to be able to do that. The only people who can do that straight away are those who had a good training in their previous lives and who still retain the skills, because it does happen. But if you are actually starting genuinely, do not expect yourself to be advanced straight away or after months. So go gently, and the best thing to do to get into meditation is to schedule for yourself a few moments of mindfulness throughout the day. So put a reminder on your phone, for example, and there are loads of apps that allow you to do that. And every time the phone rings, give yourself 30 seconds. Just begin with 30 seconds where you become completely aware of everything that is happening. So you're aware of your surroundings, where you are, how you feel, whether you're sitting, standing, walking, what are people around you? What are they saying? How does it feel to be around them? What thoughts are floating through your mind? What kind of feeling do you have? Do you have any tensions in your body right now? If yes, then where? Try to relax them. So give yourself just 30 seconds at a time and slowly build up. And this practice will actually give you more than sitting still for whatever you believe, 20, 30 minutes and getting frustrated with yourself. So honestly, just start with that. And the thing is, there is no excuse, because you're always doing something during the day. So being aware for 30 seconds doesn't take any extra time out of your schedule. So you can't say, oh yeah, well, I couldn't do it because I was too busy. There is no too busy. You can always become aware for 30 seconds.
You could be washing the dishes and say, okay, I'm going to be aware as I wash dishes. And
yeah,
we've had those moments of
so
when
feel,
you're zone
feel,
hot, right?
feel what the texture of the plates, what the temperature of the water. What do you feel right now? Again, any tensions in your body, release them. What is your breathing like? Are you breathing in a shallow way, in a deep way? Is it quick? Is it slow? Think about it. And as I said, just for 30 seconds, you can do it. You are walking to catch a bus. You can become aware of what you feel just then. So, as I said, if someone is really interested in developing their strength, there are exercises like that that don't take any extra time out of your schedule. So no matter how busy you are, you can always do them.
That's amazing. What? That's amazing, you guys. No excuses. No excuses, you fuckers. All right. Well, listen, this is good. This has been fantastic. A lot of great information there.
Thanks.
And useful, too. Useful. Inspirational and useful. That's the way I like it to keep things. Cool. Well, the good news is we love you, so we're going to have you back. And the even better news is your full talk's available at the Infinite Man Academy. And so people can click on the links below and they can go in there if they want to. And we're going to put in your website so people can go check out more about you. And you're very friendly. So if people want to learn more, they should go check out your site and reach out. Aren't you friendly?
I'm very friendly.
She's very friendly, so don't be shy. All right, we'll see you guys in the next one.
See you. Bye.